Hello, everybody. If you're anything like me, then you have been on FIDE's rating site of South African chess players, and then you've also maybe even clicked the inactive rating button to see who were the strongest players in the country. And one of these people is a Mr. Piet Kroon. So it's actually pretty interesting that I'm not sure when you become inactive on the list for active ratings because he played in 2015. And this would be something Gunther van der Berg could help us out with. But in any case, he played after a 20-year hiatus. So, as far as I know, Dr. Lyndon Bow was his last opponent, and we're going to be looking at some of Dr. Lyndon's games soon. And a 20-year hiatus, Franco Mare, a player I think from the Free State, was his first opponent in the South African Open. And Mr. Piet Kroon, a South African legend, apparently lives in the west coast of South Africa and lives on a boat. So, by all means, I think he was 70 years old when he went to the tournament, and that does not mean he's old by any means, because apparently he was still playing chess in the bars late at night and telling stories about how he used to play tennis with Boris Spassky. And they're actually playing, well, okay, this is his third game in the tournament in 2015. He drew against Franco Mare, and then he won a game where his opponent seems to have blundered. And now he's playing against a Mr. Lou Lama. And this is a strong 1800. And you have to remember that if you haven't played chess for 20 years, even an 1800 could be very dangerous. And this game was just brilliant. I was looking at it for a while and decided that this is really something. So Lou Lama takes the knight on. Sorry, he takes the knight with his bishop. One of the main reasons is that, okay, well, sorry, he cannot really get the bishop back without. Okay, I was showing that playing d5 and d5 just doesn't seem good. And then your bishop's pretty much going to be trapped, and you need to look at all these tempo moves coming. So he simply plays bishop takes c3 to get rid of the piece, and b takes c3. And sorry, as I was discussing, I was actually just walking through the opening so far. Piet Kroon comes with an English for white, which is a very sensible way of playing, and I think a lot of us should try and employ the English in high-level chess games, especially in tournament play, not just for online chess and stuff. It's a very solid opening. We have h6 and now e4. And one of the moves that is most popular is to go bishop e6 immediately, but Lou Lama goes bishop g4. And the reason for doing this is he wants to provoke h3. He's not going to give up the entire bishop pair for the knights now. He's just going to retreat the bishop to e6, and he wants this move h3. And it's very interesting how Piet Kroon deals with this. He simply plays knight h4. And, okay, it's apparent that this square might become available for him, but we learn soon that this is not what he's going to do. Queen d7, going after the pawn. Now, in the past, players have played king h2. Piet Kroon actually plays a top computer recommendation, just g4. And now this knight seems like it's going to be very happy coming to the square. Piet Kroon doesn't feel that he needs to play slow like this. He just goes for this bit of space. It's not like black is going to do anything about it. And how many times in your life have you decided not to play g4 because you feel that it's going to be some kind of weakness and played the safer option, like king h2? But his opponent replies with a similar move to king h2, and it seems like they're going to start attacking on the king side. Simply f4 immediately by Piet Kroon. E takes f4, and now not bishop takes f4, which is a very strong move, but then you have to deal with sharp lines. G4 5 is not that sharp. You can actually take the pawn because the knight's hanging. But it's in any case, bishop takes is actually a bit stronger. But I like how Piet Kroon plays this. He goes rook takes, and now black really needs to do something about the knight because he's threatening to give up this exchange. So knight g8 steps out of all of this. Let's say he didn't consider giving up the exchange as a threat and he went rook a e8. Now rook takes f6, g takes f6, and queen f1 hitting this pawn, queen e7, and d4. And now we kind of see the point of this queen. It's hitting this pawn and defending this pawn. And you've got this huge center as white, playing very comfortably. f5, and, well, okay, knight takes f5. You can simply recapture with your queen now. This is very comfortable for white. More than enough compensation. Black goes king g7, holding onto the pawn. In any case, this would have been playable for Lou Lama, but instead he goes knight g8 after rook takes, not going for any of these lines where it seems like the center is even bigger. And white has managed to open up the king even more with the queen entering. So we have knight f5 now. The knight goes to the square where it wanted to go to, and g6. One of the other things that was pretty remarkable from this game for me was the way Piet Kroon just kept on playing forwards, and this is something you hear quite often, but you don't see so many examples. g6 was a move looking to maybe get Piet to go back with his piece, something like this. But in fact, he shows us that you can simply keep on playing forwards. Bishop e3. And you can notice now that no matter how you capture this bishop, so let's say g takes, just simply e takes. And this, he's not losing material. He figures out that he can continue playing forward. And bishop takes f5. And now black's king is even more exposed. White hasn't lost anything. The best option for black is to take this pawn, and now not even d takes, breaking the pawn structure. This rook can actually take both pawns, and this is very nice, making use of all the moves he has already played in the game. So it's a big structured game. Okay, so instead, after bishop e3, Lulama prepares to take this knight now by going queen d8. So this is pretty much saying that now I can take your knight. If you recapture, I've got some kind of square for my bishop to go to. In fact, okay, knight e5 might have been a stronger option from his side after bishop e3. Just simply playing knight e5 and not going for any of these tricky, any of this tricky nonsense. But in any case, white still seems pretty comfortable here. We have, after queen d8, we have knight d4. And the knight's centralized. You seriously don't want to take this knight, because then we're getting this beautiful diamond pawn structure after this pawn gets here. And this bishop, there's not a dark bishop around anymore. It's going to slice on the diagonal. And white is already pretty active with his attack there on the king's side. So after knight e5, we have queen e2. And well, he could have played for this concrete idea, knight takes e6. I was looking at this, but I'm not too convinced this is a lot better. One of the ideas is that you're getting to play rook f1 with tempo and taking the file. But in any case, queen e2 just holds onto the tension and prepares for this. So now we have a6. And in fact, yet again, there was a small nuance in the game both players missed. Queen e7 would have been a way to hold on to the file after knight takes e6. White does get this center, but in the end of the day, black isn't too weak on the file. And e takes d6. Okay, in any case, this is very deep. But a6 kind of gives up the file and makes a pretty big threat out of the move d5 and e5. We'll see now why it does so in a second. We have knight takes e6. And now it makes sense why the queen moved out of the way to e2, because we have rook f1 with tempo. So now he's the one playing with this file. And now d4. Okay, and you really... Okay, knight e7 would have been a stronger option. He doesn't realize that knight e6, white's not going to play d5. He's actually going to play e5, and this is... e5 is the big threat, opening up the bishop, and this pawn is extremely weak. So in any case, after knight e6, we have queen f2, just playing with this file. And in fact, this would have been an interesting point for him to go queen b2, playing after this weak pawn. And what you do is black. If you go b6, e5 is a huge move, because it's just pinning this knight down to the rook. And trust me, you're going to lose this game now. After queen b2, if you try rook b8 defending the pawn, e5 yet again with this big threat. And in both lines, it becomes necessary to play knight d8 after a while. And now going back for the f-file seems a lot stronger. Or you can simply start playing the center, try and open up this diagonal. In any case, g5 was then Piet Kroon's idea, and he's got a very nice idea in mind. Never mind this pawn. His idea is also pretty great. It would have been fine if black had gone h takes g5, allowing white to exert some more pressure on this point and playing for this f-file. White can go play for this pawn again, and yet again threaten this. So white is still very fine if black had gone for this. But in fact, if white had traded rooks, black would have actually been pretty fine after e5. With the rooks off, the queen is still around. In any case, we have h5 in the game, not trading down this pawn. And now we see Piet Kroon's brilliance. e5, rook f8, and pause the video here. Please pause the video and find Piet Kroon's brilliant idea. Okay, I'm going to show it now, so if you haven't paused, this was probably your last moment. We have queen f6 check, and this is just so strong. Um, well, no matter how you capture this queen, you are actually losing a piece. So you can try knight takes, but simply now g takes f6 check, and going with the rook, well, that just loses the rook as well with check, and white can recapture and play up 2 pieces. Going with the queen kind of does the same. Well, I don't know why I do that. You're playing down a piece in any case, going with a knight. Taking with a queen, queen trades, walks into e takes f6 check, and king f7. And this is actually the best way to play, is to play queen takes. Sorry, my lines got a bit confused here. Okay, so taking with the rook is actually also a bad option because you're losing a ton of material as well. Also, just g takes f6 check, and preventing this, well, you can give up another knight, but there's not much to do. You're losing this queen as well, and white is playing up a bunch of material. So in the game, queen takes f6, the best move. But here's the point: e takes f6 check, and now this knight is worth nothing. As you can see, this pawn duo over here is never going to get challenged. The king needs to move to f7, and the knight isn't getting out of here. All the squares are covered. That's why it's important to take with the e-pawn and not the g-pawn in this situation, to keep the knight closed. And now Piet Kroon shows us a brilliant endgame, playing up a piece actually in this endgame. First trades, gets the rook active on the b file, and now you can pretty much wait. You can pretty much wait around with your rook, go pick up this pawn. You're going to enter on the 7th someday, so black really needs to do something to stay active, which black now does. Knight takes f6, and this trades, and now white is playing up a full piece. And okay, he plays pretty well here. Here's one small point to note, that after this check, bishop falls back, king takes, rook takes check. He doesn't even blunder this pawn. You can't take the pawn because of this check, losing the rook. So he plays with a solid endgame idea in mind, which is that, well, okay, first he's gonna play and win the endgame with this pawn over here, not with this one, and he's gonna make a big enough threat out of his a pawn so that black needs to divide tension on the board so that he can go and play on this side, pick up these pawns. So this is Piet Kroon's idea. And sooner or later, this rook is going to have to start worrying about the a-pawn. And it's this moment. Okay, white changed direction now to the king side and gives up this pawn for 2 pawns on this side. And in the end, after a lot of maneuvering, well, not even a lot of maneuvering, he manages to kick the king away from defending this pawn. He's going to pick up this pawn. And Lulama resigns. What a brilliant game, showing us how to play forwards. A queen sacrifice in a sense, I guess, playing that queen to f6 check, and also playing forwards earlier on, using the pawns as a means to play forward. Everything started with his move g4 instead of going king h2, and seriously, just such a stunning game from Piet Kroon, and we hope to see him one day still for more tournaments. If anyone out there can make a call on him to come play, that would be fantastic. And also remember to subscribe to the channel. And suggest games in the comments section if you want to watch any games that I haven't covered so far of South African chess players. Thank you for watching and enjoy your day.